We come together today on our journey together to integrate the technique of indifference, the technique of light, and the technique of the presence. We begin by sounding the formula for protection. As a soul, I work in light, and darkness cannot touch me. I take my stand within the light. I work, and from that point, I never move. Before we begin, let us align as soul and as a group and see our group approaching Master Dwalkul's study. Dwalkul tells us, just as in the past, the instrument and its relation to the outer world has been the paramount fact in the experience of the spiritual man or woman, so now it is possible for readjustment to take place wherein the outstanding fact will be the spiritual man, the solar angel or soul. It will also be realized that our relationship through the form side will be to the inner as well as the outer worlds. Men and women have included in our relation only the form side of the field of average human evolution. We have used it and we have been dominated by it. We have also suffered from it and consequently in time revolted through utter satiety from all that pertains to the material world. Dissatisfaction, disgust, distaste, and a deep fatigue are characteristic very frequently of those who are on the verge of discipleship. For what is a disciple? But one who seeks to learn a new rhythm, to enter a new field of experience, and to follow the steps of that advanced humanity who have trodden ahead of him or her the path, leading from darkness to light, from the unreal to the real. We have tasted the joys of life in the world of illusion, and we have learnt our powerlessness to satisfy and to hold us. Now, now we are in a state of transition between the new and the old states of being. We are vibrating between the condition of soul awareness and form awareness. We are seeing double. Our spiritual perception grows slowly and surely as the brain becomes capable of illumination from the soul via the mind. As the intuition develops, the radius of awareness grows and new fields of knowledge unfold. The first field of knowledge receiving illumination might be described as comprising the totality of forms to be found in the three worlds of human endeavor: etheric, astral, and mental. The would-be disciple, through this process, becomes aware of the lower nature and begins to realize the extent of his or her imprisonment, and as Patanjali puts it, the modifications of the versatile psychic nature, the glamours, the illusions, the hindrances to achievement, and the obstacles to progress are revealed to her and to him, and the problem becomes specific. Frequently, when we reach the position in which Arjuna found himself, confronted by enemies who are those of his own household, confused as to his duty, and discouraged as he seeks to balance himself between the pairs of opposites. His prayer then should be the famous prayer of India uttered by the heart, comprehended by the head, and supplemented by an ardent life of service to humanity. Let us sound the Gayatri. Unveil to us the face of the true spiritual sun, hidden by a disk of golden light, that we may know the truth and do our whole duty as we journey to thy sacred feet. As we come together to integrate the techniques of indifference, light, and the presence, we are actually accomplishing this task together, this journey, and looking to find illumination together in this world of human endeavor, the etheric, astral, and mental fields. As we move in and through the various cycles, and DK, as we know, tells us that we acquire this knowledge, we acquire these skills, these techniques in cycles, simultaneously sometimes, and always with a crossing over. And the acquisition of knowledge in order to achieve this, we're developing a greater and greater sensitivity and passing the tests of Scropio to achieve personality integration. We begin to expand into greater states of glamour and illusion, for we each go through the achievement of conquering a glamour or illusion and another appearing. And those steps continue for us through this whole process. And we learn the lessons of Scropio, the lesson of appetite, standing as the observer and seeing the tests as those cycle and evolve in our own lives, in the lives of our family members and community members, in the life of our service group or groups, and humanity. We see the lesson of appetite as the primary one for those who are struggling, the lesson of desire, all the glamours of ambition, hate, and fear that plague humanity at this time. And we hope to achieve a state of indifference in relation to our own physical demands and emotional desires, and conquer those in our life of service, and learn the lesson of self-will and the lesson that plagues the illusory leaders of our times, those that we call leaders who have yet to conquer pride, conquer separativeness, and conquer cruelty. From Libra, where the light leads to rest, to Scorpio, where the battle is on. Master Dwalkul says a progress is made recurrently or cyclically around the wheel of life. These experiences and vibratory activities intensify in character until the time comes when the reversal of the wheel takes place. Then Libra leads on to Scorpio and the active soul life, active through the medium of the personality nature and not simply on its own plane. This active soul life is registered, recorded, and noted in Virgo, and balanced and assessed in Libra. We are in that phase now, eventually bringing about the tests and trials between the soul and the personality, which the personality fights with power and determination to preserve the status quo of the balanced expression of these two, where the preponderance of the personality influence is not possible. Consider ourselves Arjuna. Consider our group Arjuna. Consider the reflections of the tests and trials in humanity at this time, and rise to a level of impersonality and invoke the technique of indifference, which is not caring, but it is establishing that great state of the true observer, and bringing the mind and the brain to the point of receptivity, of soul light and soul focus. Detaching from all concerns and standing as the soul. We must free ourselves from illusion. Illusion is frequently misinterpreted and misapplied mental perception of truth. It has not to do with the mental plane, the phase of glamour, though illusion can be carried down into the world of feeling and become glamour. As the observer, observe your own actions, your own desires, and those that stem from illusion. When this happens, its potency is exceedingly great because a thought form has become an entity with vital power, and the magnetic power of feeling is added to the cold form of thought. As the observer, ponder on this. For this reason, we have been working through the glamour of false expectation. A thought form that becomes an entity with vital power, and the magnetic power of feeling is added to the expectation that is false. DK tells us at the stage with which we are now dealing, which is that of pure illusion, and using the technique of presence, a revelation has precipitated upon the mental plane, and owing to failure rightly to apprehend and interpret it, or to apply it usefully, it has developed into an illusion and enters the being, enters into the experience and the way in which one lives one's life. Intuition dispels individual illusion. So, in the process of integrating the three techniques, we are developing the intuition to dispel individual illusion and also to move through the stages of the technique of the presence. We've covered these definitions before, but let us be reminded of the first one given. Illusion is primarily of a mental quality and was characteristic of the attitude of mind of those people who are more intellectual than emotional. They have outgrown glamour as usually understood. It is the misunderstanding of ideas and thought forms of which they are guilty and of misinterpretations. So we will continue to reflect on these definitions and incorporate them into our service over the next 2 months. As we remember Master Dwalkul's words, a death blow must be struck at the world illusion, for it holds the sons of men in thrall. By learning to break through the glamour in our own lives and to live in the light of the intuition, disciples can strengthen the hands of those whose task it is to awaken the intuition in man. Let us pause here and think through. Are we working on our own glamours? And are we attempting to live in the light of the intuition as disciples? For in that light, we are strengthening the hands of the hierarchy, whose task it is to awaken the intuition in man. There are many and different kinds of glamour, and disciples are frequently surprised when they learn what is regarded as glamour by the masters. Therefore, we work on group glamour in the technique of light. And from the point of the observer, observe when we may be falling into new glamours in relation to our group service work. He reminds us that the dissipation of glamour requires the system of Raja Yoga. We follow Patanjali's work, The Light of the Soul, where he demonstrates the techniques. And these techniques have been given to us again through Alice Bailey's teachings in The Light of the Soul and Master Dwal Kul. And he says that in the next 7,000 years, this system will be used to train disciples in mind control so that we may achieve that stage of isolated unity, that recorded unity, and take initiation, enabling us to release energy into the waiting and demanding world of men and women. So if ever one is feeling that need to exert greater mind control, the Light of the Soul and the Yoga Sutras can offer a great method for achieving greater control of the brain-mind connection, and exert the light of the soul into the triple light in integrating our techniques. So a strategy for us as we move through and study the technique of the presence is to engage in that process of building the searchlight as a group. And then, as the observer throughout our daily lives, to be able to quickly engage that searchlight and shine that light to dissipate the glamour that appears more readily, more easily, more rapidly. So as we prepare for the integration of the techniques, let's remember and align with the ashrams of the masters. And as the observer, align with this place of quietly confident, regulated effort. Daily align with the ashram, the plan, and the immediate service activities can be known. And in that alignment, become aware of your task and our task. Become aware of your equipment, gratefully rendered, and the equipment of our group and groups, gratefully rendered, proceeding to carry out the phase of the one work which we know we are to do. We sense our relationship to the phases of the work undertaken by our group brothers and sisters in the groups with which we are affiliated. Many of us are affiliated with the daily vigil. Many of us are affiliated with the meditation for the Middle East. Many of us are affiliated with the alignment of the Americas. Many of us are affiliated with the work that is done on behalf of the soul of the United Nations. And we are learning to see the picture whole, as the Master ever sees it. And through this process, we develop confidence and security. So in silence, let us consider very briefly the higher qualities of the 7 rays that emanate from the ashrams that we hold in each and every group as we integrate the incoming energies of the zodiacal signs through the ruling planets and receptive ashramic activities. And as we transition from Libra to Scropio, let us consider contemplative the teachings on Scropio, this one in particular, that Scropio is the great constellation which influences the turning point both in the life of humanity and the life of the individual human being. For the first time in the history of both mankind and disciples, the energy of Sirius pouring into the 7 groups which form our planetary hierarchy evokes a response. We are living in this time in which we are evoking a response. Strength, courage, steadfastness, truthfulness arising from absolute fearlessness, power of ruling, capacity of large-mindedness. The first ray ashram of Master Morya. Which quality do you choose to align with? These qualities serving all the leaders of the world, aligned with political and governmental transformation. Under hierarchical impress that the plan for humanity move forward. The ashram of Kuthumi and the major ashram governing all ashrams, the ashram of the Christ, the Lord Maitreya. Calm, serene temper, patience, endurance, also strength, love of truth, faithfulness, intuition, clear intelligence. Master Dwal Kul works with both the first ray and second ray ashrams. The third ray ashram, the ashram of Master R, the Mahachohan. Wide views on all abstract questions. Sincerity of purpose. Clear intellect. Capacity for concentration on philosophic studies. Patience. Again, linking the qualities to the second ray ashram. Caution. Absence of the tendency to worry over trifles. The third ray ashram. And now we consider those ashrams of attribute that work under the third ray ashram, flow from the third ray ashram. The ashram of Master Serapis. Strong affections, sympathy, physical courage, generosity, devotion, quickness of intellect and perception. The fourth ray ashram of harmony through conflict, working as the ashram of attribute under the ashram of active intelligence and creative activity. The fifth ray ashram, Master Hilarion. Strictly accurate statements. Justice without mercy. Perseverance. Common sense. Keen intellect. Uprightness. Independence. The fifth ray ashram, working under the third ray ashram of aspect with these attributes. Concrete knowledge and science. The sixth ray ashram, the ashram of Master Jesus. Devotion, single-mindedness, love, tenderness, intuition, linking directly to the second ray ashram of the Christ and the second ray ashram of Kuthumi. Loyalty and reverence, the sixth ray of idealism and devotion. Strength again, perseverance, self-reliance, courage, courtesy, extreme care in details. The seventh ray ashram, the unknown name, working as an ashram of attribute. The attributes of the incoming Aquarian age, the seventh ray of ritual, order, and magic. How can we radiate these qualities, these virtues, as a group in our soul consciousness using the technique of light, the technique of indifference, and the technique of the presence. I'm going to ask you to unmute. Andrea.
By means of the technique of light, the illumined mind assumes control over the astral or emotional body and dissipates glamour. When light pours in, glamour fades out. Illumination dominates, and the vision of reality can be seen. It produces ability to tread the path of discipleship and enables the man to live a life enlightened by divinity. Illumination is the applied power of transformation. Using the creative imagination, hold a vision of your being illumined, transformed. The groups with which you are working and affiliated, transformed. The nations, transformed. The world, transformed.
By the means of the technique of indifference, Maya is ended. For the control of the purified astral vehicle is consciously and technically brought into activity, producing the freeing of the energies of the etheric body from the control of matter or force substance, and bringing men and women in large numbers on to the probationary path. Where there is divine indifference to the call or pull of matter, then inspiration becomes possible. This technique is related to karma yoga in its most practical form and the use of matter with complete impersonality, enabling one to live a life inspired by God. Inspiration is the applied power of transmission. Using the creative imagination, hold a vision of your being, inspired as the transmitting agent of the soul. The groups with which you are working and affiliated as transmitting the radiance of the soul. The nations, transformed as cooperative entities, as agents of the plan for humanity. The world, evolving in alignment with the plan as the hierarchy is externalized.
Let us envision each of the groups with which we are affiliated as these transmitting agents of the soul. Visualize your presence in these groups. Visualize the members of the group as one transmitting agent. Taking the illumination that comes forth from the soul and radiating that light. Using directed purpose. The principle of directed purpose. Visualize the triangle of Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity in radiant relationship. We imagine the thought that emanates from the heart center, the advancing point of light. And we envision the connectivity, the transmitting power that comes on this advancing point of light. For the monad is engaged, the spark of monadic life from the planetary logos moves from the third eye and the heart center is aligned with the head center and the heart in the head in all of our groups. And that light then is distributed through the ajna center. Uniting these ways in which energy follows thought. For these stages are not divided off. There are no clear lines of demarcation. The ajna center, the world serving group, the new group of world servers, acting as the ajna center of the planet. And through these activities in group formation, eventually merging with the crown center in the new group of world servers, aligned with all 7 ashrams and the qualities that these ashrams are bringing forward in our group and groups formations. we endeavor to be part of the one world serving group.
By means of the technique of the presence, the soul assumes control of the integrated personality and of its relations, horizontal and vertical. This technique involves the unfolding of the flower of the intuition. It involves dispelling illusion, revealing the angel, indicating the presence, and opening up to the disciple the world of ideas and the door to the higher initiations. Through the disciple's grasp and application of these divine ideas or seed thoughts, the disciple becomes an initiate, and the third initiation becomes possible as an immediate goal. The intuition is the applied power of transfiguration. This technique is related to the little-known yoga called Agni Yoga, or the yoga of fire. Group intuition dispels world illusion. Today, the world is full of illusions, many of them veiled under the form of idealism. It is full of wishful thinking and planning, and even though much of this is rightly oriented and expresses the fixed determination of the intelligentsia to create better living conditions for the entire populations of the world, the question arises, is there in the sum total of this wishful thinking enough of the essential dynamic livingness which will carry it down into the physical demonstration and factual expression and thus truly meet human need?
We are going to pause here, and I will pause the recording so that we can share our thoughts related to this question, such an important question.
Let us remember Master Dwalkol's teaching anent the presence. Stage by stage, each person progresses from one state of illusion or glamour to another, from one point of discriminative opportunity to another, until they have developed three major capacities. 1, the capacity to handle force, devitalizing Maya. 2, the capacity to tread the middle way between the pairs of opposites, dissipating glamour. And 3, the capacity to use the intuition, dispelling illusion. You must bear in mind that none of these three stages are, in reality, divided off from each other by clear lines of demarcation. nor do they follow each other in a clear sequence. They proceed with much overlapping and often with a partial simultaneity. It is only when the disciple faces certain initiations that they awaken to the fact of these distinctions.
Let's review the preparatory processes or stages of the technique of the presence. The evocation of the stage of tension. This involves the will. This is basic and essential. It is a tension brought about by complete control of the personal self so that it is fitted for contact with the real. Next, the achieving of a state of fusion with the soul or with the angel, which guards the approach to the path of the higher evolution, and the holding of the mind steady in the light of the soul, which remains the attitude of the lower self for the entire remaining period of work, held by the point of tension, at the point of tension by the soul, and not by an effort of the personality. The soul undertakes this holding when the personal self has done its utmost to achieve the desired tension. And these steps must precede all effort to develop the intuition. And Agni Yoga is one of the disciplines that does assist us in accomplishing these steps. They're the first three stages of the Agni Yoga discipline, or the yoga of fire, for which Raja Yoga has prepared the student. These are the work of all disciples, particularly those on the probationary path and the first two initiations.
Let us continue to review and integrate the teachings of the Tibetan Master in relation to the technique of the presence. We have reviewed the three preliminary stages. Now, after a quick look, let us move on to number 4. The preparatory processes, Is this it?
Yes.
Therefore, the following stages must follow upon the three earlier. We will continue with the numbering as given, for what IDK here suggests is a formula for a more advanced meditation attitude. I said not form. 4. Definite and sustained effort to sense the presence throughout the universe in all forms and in all presentations of truth. This could be expressed in the words, the effort to isolate the germ or seed of divinity which has brought all forms into being. I would like to point out that this is not the attainment of a loving attitude and a sentimental approach to all people and circumstances. That is the mystical way, and though not intended to be negated in the disciple's life, it is not used at this time in the process of effective approach. It is the effort primarily to see in the light which the angel radiates, the point of light behind all phenomenal appearances. This is, therefore, the transference of the mystical vision to the higher levels of awareness. It is not the vision of the soul, but the vision or the spiritual sensing of that which the light of the soul can aid in revealing. Glamour, a world problem.
And he goes on.
called knowing and sensing, the radical interdependence of all phenomena in the Buddhist tradition, insight into the mutual belonging of everything. Continuing 4, definite and sustained effort to sense the presence throughout the universe in all forms and in all presentations of truth. The flickering soul light in the personal self has enabled a disciple to see the vision of the soul, and in that light to reach union with the soul, even if only temporarily. Now the greater light of the soul becomes focused like a radiant sun, and it reveals in its turn a still more stupendous vision, that of the presence, of which the angel is the guarantee and promise. As the light of the moon is the guarantee that the light of the sun exists, so the light of the sun is the guarantee, did you but know it, of a still greater life, greater light.
Thank you. I'm going to go back and let us emphasize that he is giving us now a formula. And there are 9 points in the technique of the presence, which he gives us. And so this connectivity to Scropio, the 9 heads of the Hydra, and all the tests that relate to Maya, glamour, and illusion, we'll take these steps very slowly, and I encourage everyone to just remember what DK tells us, that there is a simultaneity in this progression. There is a simultaneity that we probably cannot understand, and it is completely unique to each person. In relation to their raise, in relation to their place on the path, their background, the nation that they live in. And as we work in group together, this high priority to really respect the ways in which people offer their soul consciousness is so diverse, is so revelatory for us in group work. And I have the deepest gratitude to all of you for moving through this process that we can then share with others. So what we're given is an advanced meditation attitude. And let us sound the soul mantra together in closing with this advanced meditation attitude, which brings us insight into the mutual belonging of everything and the radical interdependence of all phenomena. So if you will align with the soul, the flickering soul light of the personal self, reaching using the creative imagination to the highest point. And along that line, your antakarana to reach union with your soul, if only temporarily. And sound the soul mantra. I am the soul. I am light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. Seeing that greater light of the soul becoming a radiant sun. And wherever we are upon the path, to be able to recognize that spark, which becomes the more stupendous vision, that of the presence. That we may handle force, that we may dissipate glamour, and that we may dispel illusion. Oh.